This is a really good find, a really good resource that I definitely like to see, and there's quite a bit in this area here. But this is a black walnut, and it's really easy to distinguish. You know, once you've kind of recognized it and identified it a few times. But you know, compound leaves, very distinct pattern, and then of course the easiest time to identify it is when it actually has the walnut on it. Right, this is one that hasn't fallen from the tree yet, you know, so it's got a green husk. The husk has a really distinct kind of a chemically smell. So I kind of like the smell. So, you know, excuse me while I smell the walnut real quick. But, you know, the walnut is a really unique tree in the eastern woodlands especially. They're a lot more prominent, they seem like, but there are quite a bit here in the Ozarks. I'm surprised to see so many. But the walnut, the actual green husk, releases a chemical, and there's obviously some more in the leaves and the foliage and all that, but this actually secretes, or I'll say releases, a chemical called juglone. So the shape of the seed, the walnut that you're used to seeing in a store, is actually inside under this softer husk that's going to decompose away. You know, these are different stages of decomposition. And the further you get, and once that kind of goes away, you're going to have that actual walnut shell that you're used to seeing in a store. And then, of course, inside there is the actual nut meat that we eat. But this releases juglone. So as it falls off the tree, it has that round shape and it rolls away from the base of the tree. And it's trying to find a place to actually reproduce itself, to actually take root. So aside from being round so that it rolls away from the original tree, it also releases juglone. And juglone is a natural herbicide. So basically it's making the environment around it toxic for other plants so that it doesn't have to compete. So it's got a better chance of taking seed and reproducing that way. So that juglone is something that if you found a small pool that had maybe some smaller fish in there, or you were able to concentrate it, there are stories that the natives used to crush up this husk as well, and it was used as a fish poison, which is really cool. I tried it a few times and I found that I couldn't get it concentrated enough. But you know, natives worked as a community, not just as an individual. But you know, it's just a really interesting non-toxic poison to humans. It's non-toxic to humans, so they use it for fishing. Really cool way to fish. The other cool thing about it is, you know, the walnut husk, as well as other parts, but it's really concentrated in the husk. Depending on the stage of decomposition it's at, it's one of the only land-based sources, natural land-based sources of naturally occurring iodine. So this is about prime right here, and you may be able to see some of that black juice coming out of it. So if you have something like a cut on your finger, you can just take that husk, and it almost looks just like iodine or betadine surgical scrub. But that has, you know, it's disinfectant properties that you're looking for if you want to clean a cut out or keep a cut clean. Really good to use, especially useful here in the Ozarks since there's so much chert all over the place, and sharp rocks, you know, that you can cut yourself with. Really simple fix. Mother Nature provides right next to the source of the injury. You can get some naturally occurring iodine right out of that walnut. Now the question I often get on that is, you know, could you use that iodine to disinfect your water? Because we all know, well, I shouldn't say we all know, a lot of people know that you can use iodine tablets to disinfect your water, and that's a protocol that you use a certain amount of iodine at a certain concentration for a certain amount of water for a certain amount of time. There's a science to that. You know, there's no science to how much iodine you're actually getting in this, so this isn't something that I would trust for disinfecting my water. But I have used it on cuts and it works really well. So I can say from personal experience it works on cuts, but I would never know what concentration you would need. I don't know what concentration is in this husk, this particular one that I'm using, so trusting it for something like disinfecting your drinking water, that might be a stretch. Now my hands are dirty.
My hands are dirty too.